Mic test, mic test. This is a microphone test. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Audit 1, 2. Testing one. Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Building Committee meeting. Today is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, and it is approximately 5:34 p.m. First, we'll have roll call. Cindy Liendo, Chair, present. Karina Cari Elizondo, Co-Chair, absent. Adriana Alexander, present. We also have with us our Board President, Mr. Esteban Rangel. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of performance contract with Johnson Controls. Mr. Cesar Vela will be presenting.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the Building Committee, Dr. Ramirez, Cesar Vela, VP of Finance and Administration for the record. This item, we are requesting that the board approve a project development agreement with Johnson Controls. As you know, we have been working on addressing deferred maintenance projects throughout both campuses. During the last 4 years, the college has invested $9.6 million in deferred maintenance projects. Some of the items that we've addressed during this time have been shield water line replacements, building roof replacements at both the Fort McIntosh and South Campus. We've done some plumbing repairs. We've also done some interior and exterior building repairs, as well as parking lot repairs here at the main campus. We currently have approximately $2.4 million available in the deferred maintenance fund. And we do have a list of projects that we still need to address. The major project that we need to address is, and I'll show you quickly, some of the pressing items are the chiller and cooling towers at both the Fort McIntosh and South Campus. As you can see on the screen, this is the current condition of our chillers. These chillers have been in operation for approximately already 20 years, so they're pretty much reached end of life. Each chiller, just the equipment itself, costs around $750,000 to replace. We also have other items that we need to address. The HVAC control HVAC controls here for some of the buildings at the Fort McIntosh campus need to be upgraded. We're also looking at upgrading the lighting to LED. We still have some pending roof replacements here at the Fort McIntosh campus. We have the Kazan, the Atkins, and the Laird Hall building. We also have building repairs for P5 and 6. At the South Campus, we are having some issues with the irrigation system, and so that is also on the list. And we just got word during the spring break that we do have a major sewer line issue at the Cason Center, which also needs to be worked on. So currently, like I mentioned, we do have 2.4 million in the deferred maintenance projects. Obviously, just looking at the chiller replacements, that will not be enough to address those items. We are looking at this option of working with Johnson Control through this performance contract, where we could possibly structure some of these projects where it could help us address between $4 to $8 million, depending on the savings generated through some of these improvements. Again, right now at this point, what we're asking is that the board approve a project development agreement with Johnson Controls. The cost of the assessment would be $195,000. Now, this assessment would roll into the overall project, depending on the projects that we decide to address as part of this program. The contract that we're looking at is being procured through Equalis Purchasing Cooperative Contract number R10-1143C. I'm sorry. Again, we do have representatives from Johnson Control today with us. We have Ms. Jennifer Lancaster that will provide more information on how the program works. So at this time, I'll defer to Ms. Lancaster so that she can provide information to the committee on how the program works and what are some of the benefits of working with such program.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Vela. My name is Jennifer Lancaster. I'm a senior account executive with Johnson Controls from Austin, Texas. And Madam Chairperson, board members, Dr. Ramirez, and staff, thank you so much for this opportunity to serve the college. As Mr. Vela stated, I have a presentation that I'm happy to walk through to provide an overview of what we're discussing today, which is an energy savings performance contract, how we can help save the college money and improve infrastructure. So we spent a fair amount of time coming onto the campuses and working with administration and staff, looking at your facilities, and we did uncover that there's opportunity here. You do have aging infrastructure on the campuses. There is deferred maintenance that's been identified, and the college is operating in a bit of a reactive mode, and a program like a performance contract can help get you into a proactive response and really create a strategic path forward for dealing with the issues that you're facing. And I know that tantamount to everyone is providing safe, resilient, and comfortable learning environments for your students and campus community. And fortunately, a performance contract, it's statutorily enabled here in Texas. There's legislation in every state here in the country around these types of contracts. So I'll walk through some high-level points around the legislation and talk about how primarily we're going to help reduce your utility consumption through some infrastructure improvements that need to be addressed on these campuses. And then the resulting savings will help fund the improvements themselves over time. And please stop me if you have any questions. This can be a discussion. I like visuals, and so I have a bar chart that represents, in a nutshell, how performance contracting works. Right now, you have your current operational expenses, and within that resides your operational budget where all of your utility costs are paid. And through a performance contract, we will be improving the facilities and creating energy savings, which will reduce how much you're spending out of that budget. That green box, that delta, are savings that go reinvested back into the facilities to pay for the improvements themselves over time. And some key points to note about a performance contract. There is third-party engineering involved. The college will hire an external third-party engineer to review the savings calculations and ensure that they're accurate. We also guarantee the savings. It's part of the statute. We are statutorily required to financially cover the savings and ensure that they are being met. And if for some reason there's a shortfall, we're on the hook. So it helps to transfer the risk away from the college over to the private sector. I want to mention here too, working with Johnson Controls, we are a vendor agnostic partner. It's something that I'm personally sensitive about for Laredo College because I know you're on a bit of a service island is how I would refer to it, as far as the large supporting communities are all about 150 miles away. And I want to make sure that any partners leveraged through this program, any equipment manufacturers are going to be able to provide the service that you need here locally on your campuses. And so we're agnostic. It doesn't matter. We'll want to work with the college on whatever manufacturer or product makes the most sense for anything that's installed. So we did a utility analysis of your campuses, and these numbers are coming from 2023, 2024. You'll see a breakdown based on the kilowatt hours and kilowatts that you're charged by your electric provider. There's two different buckets there for electricity. Water, sewers included both of the water and irrigation, but those are both part of your water accounts. And then we calculated an energy energy utilization index based on benchmarking Laredo College against other similar size campuses with climate zones, similar operational profiles. Something I want to note though, these numbers are based on a baseline from 2023, 2024. I believe it's this month, your electric rates have been renegotiated and you're in a new contract where you're going to see an increase of about $500,000 annually with if you were to stay static operationally the way you are right now. So a program that we're looking at with performance contracting is going to help mitigate that cost increase because it is something that is going to create some burden to the operational budget if you were to remain static. And I want to mention too that as we look at utility data, we look at utility bill consolidation and opportunities for creating savings. One thing that we also noted in our analysis is that there are some bills that are receiving charges even though there's not really any significant usage on them. And you look at comparison to what you're spending overall on water, there's an opportunity for savings almost up to $70,000 there. So there's things like that that we're going to look at to ensure that we're saving the college as much money as possible to reinvest into your facilities. And again, I like visuals, and so I wanted to show one of the things that we noticed between the Fort McIntosh and South Campus. Square footage wise, your footprint here in Laredo, the South Campus is about a quarter of your total square footage. However, the kilowatt spend at the South Campus is almost half. And the story there is here at the Fort McIntosh campus, you have thermal energy storage at your plant, which helps to create savings and efficiencies in how your plant operates. There's a great opportunity to leverage that at the South Campus as well. And I would love to see the chart on the right come more in line with the square footage as far as your usage. So I just wanted to show a visual there on the opportunity that exists. So looking at improvement measures, as Mr. Bela mentioned, there's a great opportunity to replace your chillers. Right now, you're facing a lack of redundancy in your plants. Cooling is so important in Laredo. So you really do need to address chiller replacements. And so that's something that's tantamount, which will create efficiencies, but chillers in and of themselves are not going to create enough energy efficiency to cover the cost of replacement. So that's why a performance contract, when you bundle all of the items together, makes a lot of sense because you're able to leverage savings from quick payback items like lighting to help pay for longer payback items like the chillers. There's also a fantastic opportunity to upgrade your building automation systems, HVAC controls campus-wide. There's disparate systems, there's older infrastructure. That will help create savings through energy and occupant comfort, but also help with your operations and maintenance expenses as well to provide remote access for your technicians and personnel. And as I mentioned, the lighting, there's some great opportunity interior, especially on both campuses, to upgrade older fluorescent lighting infrastructure to LED, which will improve the learning environment for students. There's quite a few underlit areas that can be improved. And it can also help with campus safety when you look at a lighting perspective, both interior and exterior. And then lastly, there's water improvement, which is pretty simple, replacing aerators and flush valves and water closets, but upgrading some of the plumbing fixtures, and we can look at helping with irrigation issues as well. And we can dig in a little deeper here. Please stop me if you have any questions, but I did want to pull up and look at a little bit deeper level some of the items that we did uncover through our analysis on both of the campuses. And of course, I've covered the first few over there on the left. Recommissioning, as well as testing and balancing, that's going to be important. You have some buildings that have some issues with air pressure and humidification that can be improved through those measures. There are some opportunities for looking at reducing solar heat load on your buildings through window film so that there's not so much strain on the HVAC system. Plant optimization is just optimizing controls in your plant so that they're operating more efficiently. The thermal storage, like I mentioned, the cooling towers, those go in tandem with the chiller replacements. Building envelope as well, helping with some of the water penetration issues that you're having during floods. We would like to help with weatherization on the buildings. And then the deferred maintenance items. Again, I think this program provides a beautiful opportunity for the college to really get strategic in how you're addressing some of those issues. So things like roof replacements, some of the other deferred maintenance items that may not have energy savings associated with them, but could be potentially included in the scope of this project. So overall, Mr. Bela mentioned, I believe, the program right now that you're approving for development, we would be getting into the nuts and bolts on all of the items that would be potentially included. Right now, based on a savings potential conversation, you're looking at anywhere from a $2 to $8 million construction event, and how the college would choose to either finance, provide capital contribution to build that package. But there's great opportunity to definitely leverage some of the savings that are out there. And rather than it going to the utility companies and down the drain, reinvesting it into the buildings and getting some of this work done. So I mentioned the statute. I wanted to just touch briefly on some of the important points around the statute here in Texas, because this is a different way of approaching your deferred maintenance needs on the campuses versus what I call traditional construction or a piecemeal approach over time. There's some benefits. You're working with a contractor, an energy services company as a prime, and then under them are all the subs and all of the different pieces. But as far as the savings term, we're allowed to go up to 20 years on the savings that are guaranteed, but the useful life of the equipment may extend beyond that, and any savings that are above the guarantee belong to the college. You can use any available money to pay for this program, so it can be financed, you can pay cash, you can finance it through the provider, you can use a combination of all of those. So there's a lot of flexibility, and that's determined during development, what makes the most sense for the college. Just like we're agnostic on the products and partners that are used, we're agnostic on the financing. We don't make money on that, so it's up to the college working with you to determine what makes the most sense, and your financial advisor and counsel will be able to help there. Some other key points with the legislation: you're not required to pay for the project solely out of savings, and so that allows that benefit of including some non-savings generating items like the roofs, if that's something that the college chooses to include. And you can also contract with the provider for ancillary work. So things that make sense to include in the bundle can easily be included under a company with the prime. And then it is a qualifications-based procurement, so request for qualifications or through a purchasing cooperative like Equalis. And I believe you have information in the packet about that, where we've already met the public procurement requirements in the state under Equalis. And we were ranked #1 overall as a performance contracting provider under that cooperative. I think when I look at the benefits of performance contracting, the speed to construction stands out. I like to always look at the situation. If the college were to choose to go the business as usual approach, if we weren't here talking about this today, what would you do? And you would have to go out and procure engineers to do the engineering. You would have to procure contractors. That's a strain on the procurement team and your college staff. And then it takes time because you would have to wait for those steps to be developed. Then you would have to order equipment and pay for it. With a performance contract, it's happening under one umbrella with one partner. And we have the ability to, if we need to pre-order equipment during development, that's something that can happen to help mitigate lead times. And the college is not paying for anything right now. Development occurs and then everything rolls into the ultimate contract. Versus in a traditional approach, it's just a totally different financial situation. Plus we have guarantees on the back end. So there's a lot of risk that ends up getting transferred. I think that it's really important to think about as well the deferred maintenance conversation and helping you all get to a more proactive approach. And I do firmly believe that a program like this can help set you up to have a strategic plan moving forward in the coming years on how you're going to address your deferred maintenance needs. So my last two slides, I was just going to touch on it, and I've already mentioned this, the different steps that are included under the program. So the project development agreement or program development agreement, that is essentially a break fee. That's if the college were to go through development with us and then not move forward with the ultimate project. That would be to recoup costs, but it will roll into the project. I think it's important to note too, once we complete development, we come back to you, we're working with you very closely to develop the project, and the ultimate construction agreement is set up. During construction, savings are capitalized. So any payments on financing are not made until construction is complete. So let's say it's an 18-month construction schedule. Any savings that start happening when lights are replaced, for example, are immediate. Those savings are going to the college. So you're able to capitalize those savings during construction. So that's another financial benefit of a program like this versus a traditional approach. And then the guarantee occurs once construction's complete. That's where we're doing measurement and verification, ensuring that the savings are being met, and you have that financial assurance. And as for the timeline, it's very feasible. If we were to start development in the next couple of weeks, that takes a couple of months to get through. We come back to the board with the ultimate project. It's very feasible we could start construction this summer, which I think is a very huge benefit for the college to get some of these needs addressed, especially thinking about going through another summer season with cooling issues on the campuses. In closing, I want to say I have a bit of a history with Laredo College. I was here when I was in this role with Johnson Controls about 16 years ago, and we looked at doing a program like this. We didn't get to this point. The administration at that time just didn't have the appetite for looking at it. But going through this process again the last several months, some of the same things we were recommending 16 years ago are still here. And I hope that the college can reap the benefit of it now rather than waiting, that waste. I think there's a lot of opportunity to capture it and reinvest it back into your facilities and really get things moving along. So I thank you for your time. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Yes, I do have one question. So I know that on your slides, you mentioned that we would begin construction in summer of 2025. How long do you think it would take to complete the construction?
It depends on the measures that would be included, because right now we're talking at a high level, the art of the possible. But depending on if the college does choose to replace the chillers or maybe some of the chillers, it may not make financial sense to do all of them at once. It may be a phased approach. But typically it's anywhere from 12 to 18 months is a construction schedule. So things like lighting and water conservation measures are typically what happened first. They start very quickly. And then you've got equipment lead times on other items like HVAC equipment in the buildings or the equipment in the plant. So that may take a little longer. We work around the schedule, though, that is going to work for the college. And that's why sometimes the schedule gets stretched out, because we do things at night, on the weekends, and we're working with you to make sure that we're not disturbing educational spaces, working around what makes sense timeline-wise for the college. But if that gives you an idea, typically it can last anywhere from 12 to 18 months, depending on what's included.
Okay. And so you mentioned that you've already done, I guess, a part of the study, or is it completely done? Are you done with the study?
We've done the
Or will we do
preliminary.
like another phase of it?
So we've done the preliminary analysis, the actual development where we do the engineering, the subcontractor selection, equipment selection. That's what will be happening during development. So the agreement you would be approving is for us to start that development, which takes about 2 to 3 months.
And will you have a team here locally that's going to be living in Laredo and managing the project?
We will assign a project manager and a construction manager who will be local. I live in Austin. We have engineering support in the state and other project managers throughout the state, but we will bring in local people to work on the project.
And one last question before I ask the other board members. Who from our staff will be assisting you with the project?
Facilities and operations staff, there's a lot of financing conversations involved. Administration, we want to get as much input as possible to ensure, because it's a collaborative effort. The project ends up getting co-authored. It's not like we're coming in and telling the college what will happen. It's a co-authored approach. So we'll be working a lot with all of facilities and maintenance and operations and having input to determine what makes the most sense to be included in the project.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I have a couple.
Mr. Duncan?
Okay, just a couple of questions. So you already answered the question that you already started the preliminary study. The other study is going to be more intense, and you're going to be selecting, like you say, a contract manager, an engineer, and everything. So my question to you on that point is, how much of an impact will our staff from I want to say maybe the maintenance director or something like, because I believe that they're most probably going to be in constant contact.
Yes.
How much impact will that individual or our staff member be able to have to a say-so on who you select?
They have all the impact.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't make any, so as a prime, we will solicit multiple bids, and we
Okay.
can even follow if there are specific procurement rules that the college has. We can make sure that we're following those for like hub contractors and historically underutilized business contractors. But we will get multiple bids, and then ultimately the college has the decision on who they want to use. If there's a particular contractor that responds that you've had bad experiences with in the past, for example, that's one of the beauties of working in a program like this. It's not lowest first cost.
Okay.
It's not low bid.
And that's my biggest worry, because I would want to be able to have somebody that has a good standing with the college.
Yeah.
and a good standing with our staff to be able to work well,
Right.
because as you know, you're probably familiar with our weather, right? So AC goes down, we have classes. I mean, kids cannot study, so we need rapid, response, not something of, here comes a day, here comes 2 days and no response back, so that's my biggest concern on having that one-to-one. It doesn't matter if it's 10 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning, to be able to have that contact, that relationship with whoever we're going to select. So I'm happy to hear that. Now, when you're saying we identified all these, like the chiller, the HVAC, the LED, the roofing, are you going to be a part of identifying what is more important, more crucial? And then
Yes.
also run that through our departments to be able to say, these are the 2 or 3
Yes.
options that we could be able to do. Like, is how
That's
this is how
exactly
it's
what
gonna
we'll
work?
do. We will help prioritize and provide recommendations, but ultimately it's the college's decision. And so that's where that co-authored approach comes in. We'll be working very closely with your staff and administration to ensure that any decisions that are being made on what's included in the ultimate scope is something that you're making that decision on.
I had a couple of questions, Chair. I'm sorry. So, and then when you're talking about equipment, let's just say we go to HVAC, right? Upgrading chillers or something like that, on the pictures that were shown by Mr. Vela. I know that they're very expensive equipment. He mentioned 750,000 for a chiller water. So do you work with vendors that would be able to give us a good price? Or how does that work? Or do we have to put out a bid just for those big ticket items? Or does your company itself already carry 2 or 3 vendors that have it in stock, have it ready to go, and is going to be at a good price because we're in contract with you guys?
So both. So the college won't have to go out and solicit the bids. That'll happen under us as the prime. But we will bring in as many options available, and whether that's through, because we do manufacture equipment, so that would be one option. But I'm agnostic. I don't want to use our equipment if the lead time is going to be too long, if you're not going to get the service that you need. It's really, really important to me that you get the equipment that you ultimately need and that you're going to get the service on in the long run, after the project's installed. And so that's where we will go out and solicit and look at all of the options. And again, it'll be your decision ultimately, if whatever manufacturer you want to use, whatever makes the most sense, and sometimes that marries together where it's low cost and quick availability, and but sometimes there's some give and take on what makes the most sense.
Okay.
But that'll be ultimately up to the college.
And the other question that I had was when you're mentioning that you're looking, or the the potential savings of, I think it was one of your slides, 2 to 8 million, right? So, how fast does that money start coming in so we could start identifying projects? Like, are you looking at 3 months once you worked out once you did your full analysis, right? Let's just say you're done by the end of this year. Let's just put it in rounding off numbers. By when do you think you'll start, and then we'll start seeing savings so we could be able to start ranking in those $2 to $8 million that you're talking about?
Okay, so the way it works in a performance contract, each individual scope item is going to have savings associated with it. But when you have it broken out, say like with a chiller, it may take 30 years for a chiller to pay for itself through the savings alone. Lighting may pay for itself in, let's say, 10 years. But when you bundle it together in the program, you're able to leverage over a 20-year span, or if the college, and you have the autonomy to just select how much payback term you want to look at. But let's say it's 15 to 20 years. The quicker payback items like the lighting will help fund the longer payback items. But sometimes there's not going to be enough savings in a 15 to 20-year term to pay for everything solely out of savings. And so that's where there's the flexibility in a performance contract that you can have capital contribution with financing and have savings pay for it. But to also answer your question is, as far as something like a light bulb, when you go in and you upgrade a lighting fixture, you're going to see an immediate reduction in energy usage because it's a lower wattage that it's pulling from the fixture. So those are the types of savings that you will see immediately. Now, will they pay for the fixture itself within, like you were saying, 3 months? I don't know about that. It's that might be an engineering question. But,
no, I mean, I'm just wondering, just so
yeah.
we could kind of get an idea, right? Because
Right.
of course, you put out a number of $2 to $8 million. It sounds very rich, right? So my question is it within a year, 2 years, 5 years that you're looking into at least $1 million, $2 million? I don't know. I know that it's like you said, your study is going to probably identify that. So that's something that I guess I would like to see as a board,
Yes.
so we could see that chart to see, where we're going to be looking at the savings.
Absolutely. We can get into the nitty gritty and development. At this stage, since we're talking about the art of the possible, I had a large range to show that based on savings, potential capital contribution, that's a bundled approach that's available. Right now, from what we analyzed with your utilities and looking at the campuses, it's very possible that if you wanted to look at a fully savings-driven project, like no capital contribution, that would probably be something like lighting and some HVAC controls, maybe some minimal water upgrades. And that could easily pay for itself probably within a 15-year term at about $2 million. So if that gives you an idea.
Yeah, and that's a good
But then that wouldn't hit some of the larger deferred maintenance items and pressing needs that you have regarding the chillers and the HVAC equipment. And so that's where that bundled approach of leveraging that lighting project alone that would fund maybe $2 million over 15 years to help offset the costs of the chillers and some of the longer payback items. And then the college can infuse some capital to make that cash flow. Does that make sense?
And going to that comment, Mr. Vela, so we currently have 2.4 million on deferred maintenance, correct?
That is correct, sir.
So we're going to be paying out 195,000 from the 2.4, correct?
So those costs will roll over into whatever project we decide to address
Okay.
through this program.
So
So
then,
it could come from savings. Again, when we had the initial discussions about this project, one of the items that we make clear to Johnson Controls is that we want to look at a program where it's budget neutral. So we do know that we have a long list of deferred maintenance, and obviously the $2 to $8 million that
It's
we're
not gonna
looking
be-
at is
yeah.
not gonna be enough to cover the whole cost. But when we say budget neutral is if we are able to generate X amount of savings through, from utilities, we want to make sure that those savings, instead of paying utilities, we can pay the finance for some
Of
of
a
those
project.
projects. Now, the other option that we have is, we do currently have, thanks to the board, where we're allowed to use 30% of savings into the deferred maintenance projects. Those 2.4 million that we currently have are from those 30%.
That's
So-
that's my other question. So we'll be able to use some of this money so we could start off
Yes,
the projects that that they identified with, of course, our department of maintenance to identify these are the
yes.
these are the 2 or 3 the first items that, and we might spend, I don't know, $500,000 or 800,000, on those little projects, but that's where you're going to be getting the money, correct?
That's correct, sir. So again, as we, if we do have savings this year, that'll add up to the fund. Again, we're trying to stretch the amount of money that we have available. So if we're able to work through this program and identify savings that we can then utilize to finance a portion of the project without impacting the overall operating budget, we won't ask for additional funding to cover the financing. We'll get it out of the savings from the utilities. We can stretch the projects, let's say right now from 2.4 possibly to 4 million, and
course.
address a bigger scope of work.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. Vela. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Rangel. Dr. Ramirez, I do have a question for administration. Do you foresee us needing to hire any additional staff to be able to work with the Johnson team on this project?
That's a question for Mr. Tijerina, I guess, or Mr. Vela. I don't know if you want to respond. You need to come to the podium, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair, President. As far as needing staff as to work with Johnson Controls, no. So basically, they come in as a construction company, and we, as far as myself and my 2 assistants, will be in coordination with them at meetings, weekly meetings, and they have their subs that do all the work. We will not, what we will do is we will meet with engineers, whoever we decide to choose, we will actually get to help pick out the contractor, the subs, so we can keep a lot of that stuff here in Laredo. I think it helps that they will let us pretty much pick a team, and as long as they work with JCI, we should be okay as far as keeping most of the work here in Laredo, using engineers from or around our area, not from, like I spoke to Mr. George, I don't need an engineer out of Philadelphia trying to design stuff for me. I need somebody that's going to be here where I can actually call locally, hey, I got a question about this. What do you think about that? Roofs as well. Get somebody to take a look at some of these roofs that really need to get done. And of course, it's not small stuff, but it's the lighting and stuff like that. We can have somebody go and get that taken care of.
Thank you.
I guess touching on Mr. Tijerina, touching on, I guess, the question and comment that, so then you don't foresee that the current staff that we have, they're gonna, I don't want to say drop the ball, that's not the correct word. They're just gonna maybe not be the current situations that we have in the campus, both the Fort McIntosh and the South Campus.
Right.
You'll be able to sustain with the staff that you have coming in with Johnson Control, because I mean, you're talking about meeting with engineers, contractors, and all this stuff. I mean, do you foresee that you're gonna be okay? Because I mean, I would want this to make sure that if we're gonna enter into this contract, and I mean, I would want to see a good, turnkey kind of a deal, and not having to, well, Johnson's Control's been sending emails and trying to contact you guys, and there's no response because our staff is currently busy.
So if you're asking if if the current staff is large enough, is that
No.
what you're asking? Or do you need additional bodies
No, I do
with it?
need,
Well, my thing is there somebody, my concern is, do you need a staff member to be able to be the point of contact for Johnson Control?
well, I would like to be the point of control. If I am, that'll fall on me. Do I need staff? Yes. I need extra staff to do our daily stuff, right? But as far as meeting with Johnson Controls, and I've worked with Mr. George before, they literally bring a team in. We choose an engineer, we sit with the engineer, and they're with us through the whole process, and we deal with the engineer. Then we start looking at contractors and stuff, and those guys are kind of like Line-Decker, like other contractors, American, that they do their thing. We meet once a week or some, and especially if they're local, we meet even more. Like they'll call them, pick up the phone, we're on campus, so we can do that.
Got it.
But if you're asking me if I need staff, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Okay.
Good.
Well, thank you. I know the item does say approval, but since this is committee, we cannot vote tonight, so we will be voting on this item at our regular meeting tomorrow. So if there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next item, which is adjournment. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much for joining us, and please stay for the next meeting, which is the Finance and Audit Committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, okay.
No sé si puedo ponerlo aquí más cerquita
Ándale, sí, mejor.
para que puedas pegar con el
Sí. Okay, right. What do you call it? I know. It's 6:18 and would like to get this committee meeting started. I'm going to go ahead and call roll. Tita Vela, obviously I'm here. Karina in Elizondo. Mercurio is here. And Adriana is here. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with the first, number 3, which is the February 2025 financial report.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, if we may, we would like to actually ask to defer this item to the next board meeting. Unfortunately, we did have a short month because of
Yes.
spring break. We weren't able to get the report completed on time. So we'll have it ready for the next board meeting so we can defer this item.
All right, any problems with anybody? Okay, then we'll go ahead and go on to number 4. The approval, to approve the resolution requesting the Laredo College Board of Trustee approves the submission of a grant application for a total of $173,200 in grant funding by the Laredo College Grants Office for the 2025-2026 Laredo College Police Department Operation Lone Star program to the state of Texas, Office of the Governor, Public Safety Officer. And it's Gabriel?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, Gabriel Lozano, Director of Grants. This basically is a law enforcement grant for the LC Police Department. And this grant is the 2025 version. We were awarded last year, through this program, about 250,000. So this is this year's application, and it's for basically for specialized equipment. We are beginning participation with Operation Lone Star, which is a program through the governor's office, and it provides personnel support, overtime for our officers, and this year's application includes 3 license plate readers, and those are quite expensive. And the logic behind that is, after meeting with the chief and some of the other officers, is to identify vehicles that drive through the campus as well, that could trigger or that are wanted, or so that these readers pick up the plates. And I don't know if y'all have seen how they work. So they pick up the license plates, they run them through the database through the state. And so that's a big part of this grant. And the rest of it is administrative. Some of it's overtime, like I said. And we applied for as much as we could get. They basically told us this is the most you can apply for. I initially tried to apply for 400,000. They gave us 250 last year. So they capped it at this. So we did the max. Yes, ma'am.
So we got it last year, so this.
Yes, ma'am.
So this, perfect.
So, and it's all part of the effort to strengthen the border.
Right.
So,
Right. I'm surprised we didn't get more.
Madam
Yeah.
Chair?
As of all the-
So, and just for the record, there is a resolution that has to be read tomorrow at the public meeting, and that resolution is included in your packets. As part of our processing for the state, the resolution should be, it is included in your packets, and so if you'd like, we can read it tonight, or we can wait and read it tomorrow. It's up to you.
This is the
It's on the back of
Wait, tomorrow?
item 4. It's back here.
Right.
Behind that.
Is it the top one, approve the resolution requested?
Yes, ma'am, and the resolution starts with, whereas Laredo College finds it in the best interest of the.
Okay, this, in the back.
Okay.
You have to read all of it?
We have to read the entire thing. Yes, ma'am.
I do? No.
Tomorrow.
Okay, tomorrow, but not me.
No, it would be the secretary typically of the board who would read it out loud, or I can read it for you, but either the secretary or
Oh, all
myself
right.
can read it at the board meeting.
Okay, good. Jackie will do it.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Number 5, the ratification and approval for purchase of equipment for the Transformation Technology Department. Cesar Vela?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Cesar Vela, VP of Finance and Administration for the record. We are requesting for this next item that the board ratify and approve the purchase of equipment for the Transportation Technology Department. The equipment that is being ordered and purchased is, we are purchasing a wheel alignment system for the diesel mechanic and department. The purchase is being made from Gonzalez Auto Parts, and we are using a buy board contract for that, buy board contract number 715-23. The total cost of the equipment is $85,184.69. The reason that we are asking that the board ratify the purchase is that we had to actually place the order before approval because we did get notification from the vendor that the price was going to go up because of the uncertainty with the tariffs. So we have already placed this order. The funding for the equipment is coming from the new initiative allocation in the general operating budget for this year. We have 3.7 million that was allocated for new programs and the expansion of existing programs. This particular program is part of the expansion to the Raquel Gonzalez Automotive Department. So the equipment will be utilized in those new lab areas. The other equipment that's being ordered is welding equipment from Airgas, and that is in the amount of $117,458.68. And this is being purchased using E&I contract number CR 001268. Again, the funding coming from the new initiative funding that is currently in the fiscal year 2025 budget. And again, the equipment that is being purchased here is 20 welders with the 20 welding booths, 2 plasma welders, and 1 shear cutter. And again, this is going for the auto collision program. This is part of the expansion also at the Raquel Gonzalez building. Any questions of it in any of these items?
No. No. All right, let me see, let's go on to number 6. The approval of contract for graduation production services.
Yes. Members of the committee, we are asking that the board approve a 3-year agreement with Texas AVL for graduation production services. We did issue out a request for proposals in March. We received only one proposal from Texas AVL. This is currently the company that has provided services for the college's graduation ceremonies. The services that are part of the requests are for audio, visual, lighting, video, and special effects for both graduation ceremonies. The total annual cost for both graduations would be $98,641.34. The funding for these services is actually coming from savings because of our agreement with the city of Laredo. We currently
Yeah.
do not pay for the Saints Auto Arena. So the funding that was allocated for the rental of the arena is now being utilized to pay for the audiovisual component that is being provided as part of this. Again, it is a request to have a 3-year agreement with this company for the graduation ceremonies.
Okay. Is the fire gonna affect it at all?
No,
I thought about
no,
that.
I
No?
think the staff called this morning and they're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first thing I thought about when I saw that.
Quick question,
Yes.
Madam Chair. Yes. We haven't had any issues with this company, correct, Mr. Vela?
No, sir,
So they've
not
been-
not that my office is aware. Actually, they've been very
Ms.
compliant.
Trevino? No, no issues.
Good afternoon, Jessica Trevino, VP of Enrollment Management Graduation Committee. We have not had any issues. They actually work very well with us. They do everything regarding lighting, sound, visuals that you all see in the, on the screens, in addition to confetti, music, and just the entire production. Stage decor, actually, yes, stage decor. Mhm.
Thank you. Mr. Vela, and just for the record, the savings that you're talking about is because of what?
Yes, sir. This is the MOU that we currently have with the city of Laredo, where the city is utilizing our complexes of fields for the community.
You're
And in
talking
re-
about the swimming pool?
Yeah.
You're
That's
talking
correct,
about
yes.
our soccer
Soccer
field,
field,
baseball
all the
field?
fields.
So just for the record, so we can
Yes.
know where the savings are coming from. So it's coming from us having that MOU with the city of Laredo,
city.
and that is the savings for us, correct?
That's correct. They in return provide the same outdoor arena at no cost for our graduation ceremonies.
And Ms. Trevino, I believe you told us the number last meeting. How much is it per graduation? I think you said something, yeah.
Yeah, I do not, I can look up the
That's okay, just
accurate
más o
number
menos
for
like
you.
around what,
It
55,
it kind of
60,000?
offsets,
49.
it offsets the production.
Okay.
It's about the same, 47, 48.
40, I think it's,
So it
is that
really offsets.
49,000?
It offsets the cost of the arena, offsets the cost of the production.
Got it.
Okay.
No,
Every,
just for the record, thank you, ma'am.
for every ceremony, fall and spring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, number 7. The approval of purchase of computers for the computer lab and employee offices.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Finance and Audit Committee. For this particular item, we're requesting approval for the purchase of computer equipment for our annual refresh of computer labs and employee offices. The total cost for the equipment is $507,404.77, and it is proposed to procure the equipment directly through the manufacturer Dell using a DIR contract, Texas DIR TSO 3763. As part of the refresh, this allows the IT department to replace any computers that are older than 4 years in computer labs in offices. This is being done through a line item that was allocated to the IT department as part of the current budget. The total number of computers in this order is going to be 379. 273 will be used in offices, and 106 will be purchased for the labs. Last fiscal year, it was the reverse. We concentrated in the computer lab, so this time around, we're concentrating
So now
our efforts most in the offices.
Okay. Any questions from anybody?
Is funding available on all of this?
Yes, it is currently available. This is a equipment line item that was allocated to the IT department as part of the current budget.
So there's no need to float a bond issue or any of that.
No.
No. It's part of our current budget.
Thank you.
Any questions from anybody? No? All right. Next one is 8, the renewal of agreement with Team Dynamics for IT management services.
Good evening, Chair and members of the Finance and Audit Committee. For this particular item, we're requesting approval to renew our current cloud software, which is Team Dynamics IT Service Management Solution. We've had them for the past 3 years, and we're requesting to renew our agreement for an additional 5 years. The total for the 5 years is $130,460.84. This will be procured directly through the vendor Team Dynamics using Omnia Partners contract number 01-121. This particular software is used by the IT department to receive service requests. We also have a portal with a knowledge base and several items that are included as part of this package. There are some service hours that are included in this new agreement. There will be, as part of this agreement, every year we would get 20 hours in consulting services so we can implement additional services that are part of the solution. For example, project management is another feature of the software that we're not currently using, again, because the staff is busy and so forth. So with these consulting hours, we'll be able to implement additional functionality that's part of the licensing already. For this current year, the renewal is 24,165 with 80 cents, and that amount is currently allocated in the IT budget.
Thank you. So we're finishing off the third year and we're doing an extension for five, correct?
Correct.
My question, and that's fine, I believe, administration is probably recommending because you have a good relationship with them. My only question is, doing the 5 years, Mr. Vela or Mr. Chavez, is it a beneficial because if they give you a better discount per year or?
That's correct. So that allows us to, for example, in year 4, the pricing is the same as it was in year 3. So they're for this year 4 renewal, they're keeping the same number. And you'll see in the table that's in the agenda item,
Yes.
how the price is incremented over the 5 years. If we do this annually without a contract, then the price would be much higher.
I was about to ask that question. Would you happen to have a rough estimate of how much it would be annually we would be doing every year?
If I'm not mistaken, and I need to confirm, and I can send you the information, it's between 12 to 15% higher.
Wow,
Okay, makes sense. Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And the last one, number 9, the renewal of agreement for identity automation, single sign-on.
For this particular item, we're requesting approval to do our annual renewal of our identity automation single sign-on solution in the amount of $56,186 with 23 cents. The renewal will be done through a reseller by the name of SHI using TIPS contract 230105. The identity automation single sign-on cloud service is used to authenticate users into our services, for example, Canvas, the passport portal, and various other online solutions. This particular system is tied into our banner system, so as employees or students are accepted to the campus, the solution automatically creates accounts for them, and when employees are separated, it automatically disables their accounts. This particular solution, again, is in the cloud, which gives us business continuity. So for example, if our data center becomes unavailable, Canvas and all of our online solutions will continue to work because these identity services and single sign-on are on the cloud. This particular service does not have a contract, so it's an annual
An
year to
annual
year.
thing.
Yes.
Any questions from anybody on this? I think this ends it.
No,
Yes.
item number 10.
Number 10, adjournment.
No, you have the wrong.
Number 10, where did that come from? All right, the resolution requesting that Laredo Board of Trustees approves a submission of a grant application by the Laredo College Grants Office to the State of Texas, Office of the Governor, Public Safety Officer for the year 2025 to 2026, Edward Byrne Memorial Fund, Justice Assistant Grant for a total of $25,000 in funding. Gabriel?
Madam Chair, Gabriel Lozano, Director of Grants. So this item was kind of not pushed in, but added at the very end because we were approached by the South Texas Development Council to be part of this process for this funding. The service area is Zapata, Star, Jim Hogg, and various nonprofits and other governmental agencies have been privy to this money for many years. So we spoke to the director at STDC, and they allowed us to apply. So it's another law enforcement grant, also from the governor's office, but through a different mechanism, a different department. And we're asking for they're called speed trailers, but basically they help to keep people from driving too fast. The ones that show the speed, how fast you're going too fast. So they're going to be placed strategically, according to the chief, at both campuses. And that comes also with the software. The actual total, we put 25 because that was the estimate, but the actual total is $24,986. So it's almost the same. So we had to, again, this is a governor's grant, right? So we had to get a resolution to be able to apply.
To
So
be able-
it's one of the requirements.
And it'll be read tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. That one's shorter though. That was the-
Jackie will read it. That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have it. Oh, the 11 is the adjournment.
Yes.
We're done. Anybody have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Anything? No? None? Thank you. A motion to adjourn? Huh? There you go. Second, only one. What about a second? Whatever. Adriana, second.
We're done.
We're done.
We're done.
How come I don't have that? Then number 10.
Because no, I think it's because she brought her stuff from